Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I've been playing this game basically non-stop since the early access started, and I just had to make this video. Today I want to answer a simple question. Should you play Path of Exile 2 if you've never touched Path of Exile 1? If you've heard anything about Path of Exile 1, you've definitely heard about its deep systems, its complex mechanics, and its challenging gameplay. And you might be wondering, is it too late to try to jump in and start on Path of Exile 2 without any of that previous experience? In this video, I will cover a few different aspects about the game that I've learned, and hopefully I can answer that question by the end of this. Real quick, I just want to say I appreciate all the support I've gotten. Every subscriber counts. I'm still trying to hit 500. Either way, enjoy the video. First things first, let's talk about what is Path of Exile. It's a sequel. Well, it's not just a sequel. It's a massive overhaul and evolution to the original game Path of Exile. With stunning new graphics, a fresh campaign content, reworked systems, Path of Exile 2 builds on the foundation of its predecessor while feeling like an entirely new game. And to be honest, you really don't need any prior knowledge from Path of Exile 1 to jump in, because it's designed to be very approachable for newcomers while it's still satisfying long-time players and it still has that Path of Exile feel. It's really intuitive for new players. So what makes it so easy to dive into it? Let's break it down. The reworked systems that Path of Exile 2 has now streamline some of the more complex mechanics from the original game. For example, the skill gem system has been revamped. It's a lot more easy to understand. It's pretty easy for new players to get into it and understand what each gem is going to do as they unlock them. It's a lot more intuitive while still offering basically endless customization. The campaign is really accessible. It's easy to follow. It has a really cool storyline. It's easy to go from one mission to the next and kind of follow that path if you want to. If you want to kind of skip side things and just do the campaign, it's really easy to do that. The campaign does a really good job at introducing you to the core game mechanics, and each act builds up your knowledge, making it really good for newcomers. It's really fun, has a super interesting story in my opinion, which I don't want to go into right now because I want to avoid any spoilers. The game itself has a couple of guides and tutorials built into the game that developers have done a really good job to guide you through concepts like crafting, combat, and the different levels of progression. To be honest, it's actually set up really well. The systems are very intuitive, they're easy to understand, even though they have vast complexity. And when you see the skill tree, the first thing I said when I saw the skill tree was, holy crap. Path of Exile 2, honestly, is its own game. Even though it is Path of Exile 2, it's not the same as Path of Exile 1. It's a fresh narrative. It stands on its own. You're not going to feel like you started a movie halfway through and you don't know what's going on. It actually does make sense. Now let's talk about some of the actual game itself and what makes it so fun. The game is so customizable on how you want to make your experience with many different classes, and each class has hundreds, if not thousands, of different builds that you can put together. There's massive skill trees, so many build options. You can craft a character that feels uniquely to you and play however you want to. Whether you love smashing things or raining down fire or summoning skeletons and whatever as a witch, there are so many things you could do in this game. It's really, really fun. Path of Exile 2 has pretty much covered it all. So the game itself does have a really good gameplay loop. You can pretty much play endlessly and go on forever if you wanted to. If you wanted to continue on past the campaign. The combat feels impactful, the loot is rewarding. There are many different challenges, and the bosses are really fun to play. They're quite challenging at first, but you gotta get in there and you learn the abilities and you kind of learn what to dodge and what's gonna kill you. It's really fun. This game so far has been very addicting for me, and I think it'll be the same for you. It's really hard to stop playing when you start playing because it's that fun. This is definitely one of those games that players are going to dump thousands of hours into and probably love every second of it. Let's talk about the aesthetic of the game. It has a very awesome, stunning atmosphere. It looks so cool. It has a dark, gritty, immersive kind of feel to it. From the creepy enemy designs to the music, just the ambience of walking into a new area and seeing new monsters. It's really, really cool. It's a really perfect ARPG setting, to be honest. The aesthetic kind of reminds me a little bit of the Diablo 4 aesthetic, but it's not quite the same. But that's, if you haven't played Path of Exile, that's probably the closest thing to it. But yeah, it's really, really good. You can play the game solo or with friends. whether you like teaming up or just kind of doing the game yourself. The game's really flexible. It works for pretty much anything like that. One thing that I really thought was cool is going into town and just seeing other random players just doing things, crafting and running around. It's really cool. It makes the game feel alive and it's just fun to play. So one thing I did want to address is some concerns of complexity, because I've seen people say things like, hey, isn't Path of Exile just too complex to really enjoy? Yes, Path of Exile 1 could be quite overwhelming at times. It is pretty complex from what I've seen. I honestly don't have a ton of Path of Exile 1 of experience, and Path of Exile 2 early access started yesterday, so I have whatever I got. But from what I've seen so far, Path of Exile 2 kind of balances the depth and accessibility. So it's still pretty complex and can go crazy. However, it's really easy to understand for first timers and kind of just get into it and start doing stuff. But because it does have that complexity, anyone who does want to kind of go deep and understand, there's plenty for you to do. There's no shortage of complexity when it comes to Path of Exile. I hope this kind of gives you a little glimpse into the game if you're thinking about buying the early access or if you're thinking about playing when the game does finally release. So if you're trying to answer the question, should I play Path of Exile 2 even if I haven't played Path of Exile 1? My opinion is absolutely yes. It's been so fun. I think you will at least get the enjoyment to say your time was well spent. And Path of Exile 2 is an amazing entry point for new players. It's intuitive systems, it has engaging gameplay. The world is just looks amazing. It very much stands out as an ARPG. And for anyone who is new to the ARP genre, I would say this is a good place to start. Long story short, yes. Whether you're seasoned at ARPG or just dipping your toes into the genre, this journey is worth taking. Well, I was trying to get this video done quickly so I can get back into the game. It's just been that much fun. Even just stopping to make this has been a little bit hard, but I want to kind of share my experience online and see, and help other players find a game they love. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more gaming content. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.